Murphy went there with young Albert, his son. A grand little lad was young Albert, all dressed in his best for the day. He had a stick with a court flag on it, which he waved every mile of the way. They didn't quite take to the museums, and Trinity College was books wall to wall. They saw no muggings, no stabbings. In fact, they saw nothing amusing at all. So, seeking out further adventure, they paid up and went to the zoo, where they saw lions and tigers and camels and Guinness and sandwiches too. There was one great big lion named Wallace. His nose was all covered in scars, and he lay in a sleeping position with the side of his face to the bar. Now, young Albert had heard about lions and how they were so ferocious and wild, but to see Wallace lying there so peaceful just didn't make sense to the child. So quick as a flash, the brave little fellow, without showing a morsel of fear, took the stick with the court flag on it and poked it in Wallace's ear. You could see that the lion didn't like it. For doing a kind of a roll, he pulled Albert into the cage with him and ate the little lad whole. So Paul, who saw the occurrence and didn't quite know what to do, he said, "Mother, the lion has just eaten our Albert." And she said, "Well, this is the zoo." So Mr. and Mrs. Murphy, quite rightly when all said and done, complained to the animal keeper that his lion had eaten their son. The keeper was quite nice about it. He said, "Jesus, what a nasty mishap. Are you sure it was your chisel that was eaten?" Paul said, "Of course I am. Here's his cap." So the manager had to be called for. When he arrived, he said, "Well, what's to do?" Paul said, "Your lion has eaten our Albert, and him with his best clothes too." And Mother said, "Listen, you know, fella, it's a crime and a shame and a sin that your lion has eaten our Albert, and we haven't paid to come in." The manager didn't want any trouble, so he pulled out his wallet right away and said, "How much to settle the matter?" Paul said, "How much do you usually pay?" Now Mother was getting quite anxious, realizing her son was gone, and she said, "No, somebody must be summoned." And that was the side of the pot. So off they went to a court of law in front of a magistrate chap. They told him the story of Albert and proved it by showing him his cap. Then the magistrate made his judgment. He said, "Well, I have observed the scales of justice move up and move down, and I have sweated on this case beneath my wig and gown. My judgment is that nobody is really to blame, and I hope that the Murphys will have further sons to their names." The mother got quite puzzled when she heard what the magistrate said. "Spend the rest of our lives rearing children to feed bloody lions? Oh, God, curse that wig on your head." Murphy went back home to Cork on the train with a stick and a cap and a story where no one was ready to play. All his friends came out to meet Albert, but finding him nowhere in sight, Paul told them the story of Dublin and how the little lad sleeps with the lions tonight.